So, let me express my profound gratitude to the Chancellor, Chair, members of Council of this great institution for the honor bestowed on me this morning. So, it is an honor I accept with humility and proudly share with Nananum, who's joined us have contributed to everything we have achieved in the 25 years of our life. And they are well represented here with my brother, Gabin, who is the chairman of the Council of State. They've all been very supportive of me within the last 25 years. And I'm going to So, the establishment of one institution may not count very much in the scheme of national development. But I would suggest that one of the many visionary acts of our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was a decision to establish a university focused on education with the task of producing the quality manpower needed for the education of the people of Ghana. And there could not be a better place to have the honor of hosting such a university than the city of Cape Coast. Your city is where the light of higher education in this nation was lit, inspiring a thirst for knowledge and drawing thousands from every corner of the land to drink from its fountain of knowledge. We owe it to the churches for their initiative in establishing and laying the foundations of secondary education on a grand scale. From Emancipation and Wesley Girls School to Adesado College, Holy Cloud and St. Augustine, the Methodist Church, the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church led the way in providing the best in education and in conditions of gender equality long before the value of inclusivity gained universal acceptance. This university, on which we have to depend for the training of our teachers, stands as a crowning jewel of a city of enlightenment, from whose commanding hills and sandy beaches millions of the best brains in our land have been molded, have grown the best talents who have kept the illustration of our nation. This university began life in 1962 as the University College of Education, in a special relationship with the University of Ghana, Lagos, with the prime mandate of producing graduate teachers to meet the manpower needs of the Ghana Education Service. It seems unbelievable today to recall that its total enrollment as at that time was 155 students, split between two departments, the Department of Science and the Arts. And the whole concept was deemed controversial in some circles. However, it survived the political upheavals of the period, and in 1971, it attained the status of a fully fledged university with the right to grant its own degrees. The mandate of the university was expanded beyond the needs of education, and today it is a budding community of over 75,000 students from all disciplines. The founding fathers and their pioneering administrators have every reason to be proud of what they have bequeathed to the nation. And long may we continue to herald the achievements of this university. But even as we exalt these achievements and honor those whose hard work has made it possible, we cannot but pause and reflect on the fates and fortunes of the single subject for which this university was created, and I speak of education.
Sure.
It remains quite problematic to me that 60 years down the line, we are still grappling with the same challenges that informed the decision to establish this university in the first place.
Sure.
Some historical background may be appropriate here. Although the Gold Coast carried the type of a model colony, less than 10% of our population had been to school by 1951, when the people were allowed to elect the first nationalist government led by Dr. under the limited self-rule mandate.
Sure.
The government took the view that education was the key to the development of the country, and consequently launched the accelerated education program to accelerate the pace and level of education.
Sure.
Additionally, a program of adult education was launched to drive the mass literacy. In 1951, total enrollment in primary schools was 154,000, middle schools 66,000, secondary and technical schools 3,550, teacher training colleges 1,960. The total enrollment of the University College, the forerunner of the University of Ghana, Legon, was 208 students. By 1961, enrollment had zoomed to over 210% for primary schools, 142% for middle schools, a staggering 438% for secondary and technical schools,
Sure.
137% for teacher training, and an astonishing 478% for universities.
Sure.
It is important to note that the bulk of this expansion was funded by the state. Indeed, even the churches which had been carrying the financial burden of education at the height of the colonial administration were required to gradually disengage.
Sure.
Following the overthrow of the First Republic, the eminent scholar Professor Alex Capone headed a commission to undertake the first of what has become a seemingly unending series of reforms of the education system. The Capone Committee recommended the adoption of 6 years of primary school followed by 4 years of secondary education with 2 years of advanced certificate leading to a 3-year university course.
Sure.
Less than 4 years after the Capone reforms, another military coup led to the establishment of another committee, this time led by the Dean of the Faculty of Education of this university, Professor N.K. Zobo, to review the reform. The Professor Zobo Committee made social equity a fundamental thrust in the delivery of sound educational outcomes, arguing against the common entrance examination for the selection of pupils for secondary schools, as skewed in favor of children of the elite in society.
Sure.
Specifically, it recommended a new system which retained the 6-year primary school system, but split the secondary system into 3 years of junior high school and 2 years of senior secondary school lower division and 2 years of senior and secondary upper division.
Sure.
The Zobo report formed the basis for the far-reaching reforms of 1987. In preparing for the restoration of constitutional rule in 1992, the Republican Constitution provided for free compulsory education for all children of school age within 10 years.
Sure.
The new government led by Flight Lieutenant Robinson's government launched a program of free compulsory universal education in 1996.
Sure.
In a seminal study for the British Department of International Development, Nimoy Thompson and Leslie Casilefo observed in 2008. Broadly, the objectives of FQ were in line with the recommendations of the World Declaration on Education for All, adopted after the World Bank UN-sponsored World Conference on Education for All in Thailand in 1990. The declaration stated that every person, child, youth, and adult shall be able to benefit from educational opportunities designed to meet their basic learning needs, and all countries were required to achieve universal basic education by the year 2000.
Sure.
The rollout of FQ was followed by a National Education Forum in November 1999 to examine the prospects of Ghana moving towards compliance with the World Declaration on Education for All. Barely 2 or 3 years after, in 2002, another education sector review was undertaken to examine the outcome Since then, every government has undertaken a serious review of education system. The troubling fact, however, is that each review has either been driven by austerity or constrained by fiscal malice and not necessarily by the desire to achieve their stated goals. So, there is undoubted merit in the government argument that if we are preparing our children to compete in the global economy of today, then they should be entitled to the same level of basic education as children in other climates. Since basic education elsewhere encompasses secondary or high schools, it's only fair that we also upgrade our basic education. In that sense, therefore, offering free senior high school is doing no more than meeting the obligation to provide the basic education for all. So, it is not only in Ghana that this becomes relevant. In a background paper prepared for the International Commission on Financing Global Education Opportunity, Shakira Mustafa and Phillips Crowns noted with reference to primary schools products. The completion of primary school is no guarantee that children have acquired basic academic skills. So, surveys in a number of low-income countries document that many adults who have received some schooling, 5 or 6 years or less, are functionally illiterate or enumerate. So, that is an experience Ghana identifies with, and it buttresses the case for upscaling basic education. So, but this cannot be that simple. It only underscores the enormity of the challenge associated with the changing dynamics of education and nation building in our times. So, Ghanaians accept. So, finally, we have the personal sacrifices parents make in the education of their wards. So, all these sacrifices are justified as investments in the future well-being of the wards and society as a whole. So, but if the outcome of education is to produce an army of skilled and able young men and women who cannot find jobs to apply their acquired skills, and if continually we are confronted with questions about competency in the management of our resources, so how can we respond to anyone who questions the ultimate value we place in education? So, by raising the question, we do not seek to cast doubt on the value of education per se. We are rather prodding the nation, and particularly academia, to be alive to the necessity of undertaking a rigorous evaluation of the outcome of education relative to the benefits accruing to the nation, to give us the tools to correct any lapses before public confidence is eroded. So, in fact, the situation we face reinforces the need for a special relationship between academia and the state. So, there was a period in our history during the First Republic when academia was deemed to be closeted in an ivory tower, a distance away from the real world. That is no longer an issue. You are as integrated into society and in tune with its pulse as it is possible to be. So, you are the teachers who are preparing and mentoring the men and women who are taking control of our lives as political leaders, judges, economists, bankers, mandarins, diplomats, military, and police officers. As teachers, you are like parents who should have a lifetime interest in the performance of your students. So, as their success inspires you, so their failure should burden you. So, beyond the personal relationship between teacher and student, there's an even greater linkage that needs to be strengthened. The university is the storehouse of knowledge. All the knowledge required for nation building. More than the storehouse of knowledge, a university is the laboratory for research, cultivation and discovery of answers to the social, physical needs of society. You will all be aware of how much the works of universities have informed policies that have shaped countries and have revolutionized society. So, countries and societies through time. So, much of the scientific and other discoveries that have revolutionized society owe their roots to the universities and to the collaboration between universities and either the state or private business. So, unfortunately, in our country, there's hardly any evidence of the meaningful collaboration that needs to exist between the state and the universities. Perhaps, one reason the role of academia has been downplayed is that we have allowed the aggressive political divisions to permeate our sacred campuses. So, to turn them into battleground for partisan combat instead of havens for imbibing and dispensing knowledge.
So,
it is time, in my view, for all of us to wake up to the negative impact this has caused and make an effort to reverse the situation.
So,
we can begin fashioning a new relationship between state and academia that engages the expertise of academia in the process of policy formulation on a continuous basis.
So,
I have no doubt about how beneficial it will be for the country to create a unique quadrangle of experts from academia, business leaders, traditional leaders, and government, tasked to address the seemingly intractable problems of the economy.
So,
this could be the beginning of continuous collaboration between academia, the state, and captains of business in finding solutions to many of our social problems.
So,
for this to happen, however, we will need academia to win itself of gross partisanship and cultivate and enshrine a culture of rigorous objectivity.
So,
this should allow the universities, as a collective responsibility, to establish the right mechanism for rigorous continuous evaluation of the performance of national institutions and help inject some efficiency into the system.
So,
it will help us inspire a new era in which the achievement of measurable national goals take precedence over the pursuit of personal gains.
So,
with an environment in which the state can reach out across party boundaries to draw on the patriotic service of its experts without attracting unwelcome livings.
So,
the good thing is that there's more than a silver lining ahead. Ghana remains one country in which nobody can afford to lose confidence.
So,
given the combined human and natural resources at our disposal and the heritage from which we have grown, we will only fail if we want to. And I don't believe there's any Ghanaian who contemplates failure anytime. Let's hope then that we will not give into any doctrine of despair, but rise to the challenge to herald a new era for Ghana.
So,
thank you, for the answer. Let's all go forward to glorious future. Thank
Your Royal Majesty, you would take the Alumni oath, and this would be administered by the National President of the UCC Alumni Association. I'll call on Mr. Sam Akotodanso to do us the honors.
Into the alumni fraternity. Your Royal Majesty, today you have become an alumnus of not just any university, but the #1 university in Ghana, the #1 in West Africa, and the #7 in the whole of Africa. You have every right to pride yourself in this. I know our friends from KNUST and others will not be happy, but it is what it is.
Abra.